I'm tired this morning, y'all, but I want to do a quick explanation video of what's been happening in Path of Exile 1 for those enjoyers. We league started with Rage Vortex because we loved the build. Could have kept playing that to indefinitely, but rerolled to an assassin, wanted to do the new cast on crit node, got annoyed with it, kept dying, rerolled to Sabo, and let me tell you, this, I think, was the overcook. This is when, as a person who likes, oh gosh, yeah, sorry, the audio of this minion is super annoying. It's when you cook a little too much, a little too far, a little too long, and it comes out a little chewy because you cooked too hard. The cook is a pseudo dex stack, which has terrible gear. It could have 2,000 dexterity or more with better gear, but we're so burned out. We're at level 91 and a half, and I'm like, I can't keep doing this jank. The item that we are rolling is the Foulborn Null's Inclination. Yeah, baby, we got a nice 6-link, one of the dumbest and worst. I mean, this item has I think a 0% play rate and has had a 0% play rate for, I want to say, over a year. This item is never used, ever, for any reason. And this stat, minions deal 2% increased damage per 5 dexterity, was buffed a few patches ago. So, theoretically, maybe it should see more play. No, it still doesn't, because stacking dexterity with minions doesn't make any sense. In fact, stacking attributes in general with minions doesn't make that much sense unless you're doing some zombie baron something. But even that's not in meta. So it's just not a good item. But we tried to make a build around it anyways because we're a memer, and memers do what memers do. And this is the minion skill that we are using with our triggerbots saboteur. We almost got it to level 20, so we must have liked this build kind of. I mean, we certainly put some hours into it to get it this far. But I don't even think I'm going to finish leveling it this last 40 million experience. I'm like, level 19 is more than enough for me. We meant to switch to an Empower a long time ago, but we're still using Melee Phys, Pulverize, Fresh Meat. And then Arcanist brand with triggerbots is how this build actually is the reason that it does anything, is with Arcanist brand. If you read the triggerbots perfect crime notable here, there is so much janky, weird BS that you can do with this notable. This ascendancy, the triggerbots have their own AI. They trigger the spells that you cast or trigger, whatever. And so in a cast on crit, that means you get double, and in Arcanist brand, you get double. So you're doubling your spells, but you do less damage of spells. Well, Raise Zombie of Falling, whatever the hell this gem is, it's not a spell. It doesn't have a spell. Oh, it is a spell. But the gems themselves, the zombies themselves are not spells. The zombies themselves are minions. So you actually scale with minion damage. You don't scale with spell damage. So theoretically, this is like, oh, Gigabrain, you don't have a downside. You're just getting double damage for free. Well, no, because the Triggerbot AI sucks, and also Arcanist brand recall is janky as hell. And if we didn't have enough janky bullshit shoved into this build, we are also using a Soul Ripper with the new Trial Master, whatever the hell this thing is, Priest of Yaumak, Trial Master Chaos Bloodline Ascendancy. Again, this is an overcook. I think we cooked way too hard here. This is too much. We didn't need to do all this bullshit. There's just too much here. Let's go into a map. Let's go into a white T16 map just to show you. I want it white. I do not want to die in this showcase. I don't want to die. I just want to play the game. Let's show you what happens here. This is going to be such a meme. Okay. So first of all, we have all these specters that make all these, you know, annoying sound effects. We have one that gives us Impale Chance. We have one that gives us Pride. We have one that gives us Endurance Charges, which frankly is our only defensive layer. We're made of freaking paper, and it's a bad build. But so when you use your Arcanist brand skill gem, it triggers brand recall on an automation, so it's constantly moving these brands around on the screen, like and then the triggerbots actually will trigger the spells twice. But we don't have enough mana to do this because the Raise Zombie gem is like 1 billion mana. Where is it? 91 mana, and so you're triggering it, what, like 40 times a second or more than that? 60 times a second? There is no amount of mana management that can get this to work. Some other people who are trying to do this Raise Zombie Arcanist brand, they're using blood magic. Like, that's how bad it is, because you just don't have a good way. Most people are using Eldritch Battery, which is what I was doing at first, and frankly I should have just stuck with this. I don't know why I switched to this weird. But let's do the Soul Ripper thing. I need to set up my my little Pathfinder auto flask. I set it up. Alright. Vaal Clarity is now given. We have now full uptime on Vaal Clarity. That's fantastic. Now our skills cost no mana cost. And now suddenly you see a lot of zombies all falling at once. Look at that. Look how many zombies just fell from the sky. And if you look at this top left up here, see how it says 26 and 28 just for a hot second, right? Whoop. Well, it's, you know, the normal number that we're making with our maximum number of Arcanist brands out. Plus the trigger bots are doubling it. So if I walk close to these enemies and I stand here, hands off the keyboard, the brand recall will just connect to enemies and drop. So it's mechanically it's I don't know, it's it's an auto bomber? No, it's really not. It's definitely not an auto bomber. I died in the showcase. I also wasn't looking at the screen. I was looking at my other monitor. But you get the idea, right? There's all these mechanics that we're trying to work around, and it feels like we're kind of trying to, like, you know, pigeonhole this terrible item into a triggerbots build. And so the real reason that this build is dead in the water is because these implicits, cast speed per dexterity, they increase the trigger rate of an Arcanist brand skill gem. So increases and reductions to cast speed. This works with dex. If we got to 2000 dex, we'd be able to cast Arcanist brand and it would trigger really fast. But that's not what's actually dealing your damage in this build. What's dealing your damage is brand recall. And that is a cooldown thing. That has nothing to do with cast speed. It's all cooldown. So really, cooldown is way, way more important than cast speed in this build. But I got baited by not understanding the mechanics, and I thought that cast speed was like super important. So I was like, oh my gosh, these implicits are so good. Turns out cast speed per dex is not that good. There's a reason that they're not that expensive on the trade site. So I guess we'll keep running through this map for the sake of the jank. Also, this whole Pathfinder thing where you just automate your life flask by using an auto key just on a timer, it's kind of bullshit. Like, let's be real. I think that node is frankly extremely overpowered, whatever it's called, Nature's Reprisal or something. Alright, we're doing the league mechanic here. There is one nice part about this is I'm hands off. This is auto-targeting at this stage, which is cool. Like, it's cool that all I have to do is like click right click every now and then. Oh, theoretically I'm supposed to be hitting my R button to my spirit offering. I kind of forget to do that, but it gives me a lot more damage. Alright, so the raised zombies, they're collapsing on these enemies. The enemies don't stand a chance. Look at us go. Look at our Giga build. This is a white map, by the way. This is not, there are no mods on this map. This is not actually a good build, bro. Yes. I learned something when I made this build. My god, poison. Damage over time is not good for us. We are terrible. We have terrible defenses against damage over time. So, but I'm kind of burned out, and I think I'm going to switch this build. I'm probably going to stick with this character and just roll back into an assassin. Or I may stick with Sabo and just make like a different Sabo build, you know? So I've thought about that a bit too. But, yeah, the build, so I was looking it up online. The people that have done it, they've all done the traditional triggerbot setup where you have other triggers like in your weapon slot, for example. You have like trigger an extra spell every 8 seconds thing. Or they'll have a trigger spells on focus in the helmet, which is also very good, right? A lot of people are using that nowadays. But this setup, you can't do that because it's a dex stacker for some, God knows why. It's a dex stacker for some reason. So we're using a Mask of the Tribunal because theoretically, if we're stacking attributes, this should be good, right? Minions, we're giving all this crit multi to our guys. It should be great. Well, I don't think the clunkiness that we're sacrificing. Also, I don't know why I'm doing this harvest. We're not juicing it at all. We have no points in harvest. We should have skipped this. This was a huge waste. Look at this, 5 like yikes. What are we doing? I'm just showing off how good of a player I am, how well versed I am in Path of Exile. I'm so smart. I'm such a genius. But yeah, I will say I've had fun with this build in the sense that I learned about how triggerbots work and how they're super janky and terrible. I learned about how Arcanist brand works. I learned a little bit about minions as well. I don't play a lot of minion builds, but I learned some minion stuff while trying to make this work. So this hasn't been like a complete wash. It hasn't been like oh, what a huge, colossal waste of time. I hate it. I actually have had that experience making other builds, but this one was fine. I like the Foulborn unique stuff. Like, I like the idea of, having some really weird off-meta items that cost like 1 alchemy orb, and maybe they're good. Maybe there's some really weird mechanic that'll work for this. I also have an arcanist, assassin's mark that I should be using, but I kind of forget. But I think that there's a way, if you scale if you scale your dexterity enough, the percentage minion damage that you get is actually pretty good. Like, the numbers are not that bad, and like, so if you wanted to go like pure DPS and become like a glass cannon boss killer, I don't actually think that this is terrible. Like, I think there's a way to do this where your damage for single target damage is really strong, like actually good. But if you're trying to do some like random mapping nonsense, or especially if you're trying to do any difficult content like Delve or something, there's just no shot. We're doing like pure evasion. We got evasion, 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 right? And then just, oh yeah, all the jewelry is supposed to be dex, percent dex. And we wanted to see if the build would work before we bought any expensive items. And the build kind of works, but we're not going to buy any expensive items because I don't want to invest a single other dime into this. I already wasted some on accident trying to like 6-link the wrong item and stuff. It just was a waste. Oh yeah, we're doing destructive play, so you see like how the bosses die kind of fast? See, like that's pretty good single target. We like 2-shot a T16 boss, and we have bad gear. So like on better gear, I think this build could do like hundreds of millions of DPS pretty easily. We don't even have level 20 or level 21 raised zombie gym, and apparently minion gyms in particular scale really aggressively with gym levels. So if you actually wanted to make this a good build, you need a lot of gym levels. But we don't. We don't want to make good builds. We just want to make new builds. We don't want to finish any of this. We just want to, like, you know. So I guess that's my video. I'm going to look at some of the new Foulborn uniques. I'm going to make another really off-meta build this morning. Spend a little bit of time just throwing something together for like a divine, which is what I usually do. This build probably costs maybe like 3 divines or less. Probably less, honestly. Because gear is kind of cheap, like rare gear is kind of cheap these days. And so I'm probably going to throw together another janky Foulborn unique build. You know, and then we'll see what happens. So I hope y'all have a pleasant Sunday morning, like I am. Cheers.